First, ethics. This is just kind of a rambling or some ideas on where do ethics come from and like how did they start off. So I start thinking about the biological need for an ethical code, or if it exists or where it exists. And you look at like I think humans have a way of understanding biology at a subconscious level. And I think this explains feminism, for example. You gotta protect the women because they're gonna bear the babies, so that's why you write a bunch of laws in order to protect women more than men. No feminist would admit this, but it's a subconscious understanding of what we all know to be biological. So I started thinking of where does ethics start? And my conclusion, or at least my reasoning process is this. We have a matter of humans that you get a bunch of humans in a population, and humans at one point are similar to any other animal, that they have a point in which the population waxes and wanes and goes up and down. And the Homo sapiens and the Neanderthals, I'd like to, if anyone has books on Homo sapiens and Neanderthals and how people started off, I'd be interested to read. But the Neanderthals died off, and the Homo sapiens didn't. And biologically, subconsciously, the knowledge of the population goes up and down. Ethics, if you say ethics are rules, or rules to the point where we understand them hardcore emotionally, like if you break a rule, this isn't just like, oh well, you broke a rule or you didn't know, like this is the wrong. And ethics, I think that's what people's conceptualization of ethics or morals are. So I started thinking, where would the first need for this be? If you have a home, and my reasoning, my conclusion is, you have a bunch of people that say, now this is anything goes, anything at all, and that includes the eating of another human. So at one point people eat each other and they say, well, if I eat him and he eats me and then she eats him, and then we're all going to die off. And even if we have a lot of sex, that's still going to be something that back when having sex is something, having a baby is something that you only had so often because you could only find the nutrients to support a fetus. So it wasn't like nowadays where you can have a child once a year if you so feel inclined. Never mind the economic resources, we're just talking about nutrients. It's possible to nowadays. Back then, you could only have a child so often because of the nutrients. So at one point, people got together and said, hey, I'll stop eating you, you stop eating me, we'll live together, we'll move up, we'll increase our population. That way, in case a pack of if lions discover people, or if we have a really harsh winter, we don't all die. And every species is trying to promote itself. And that's my theory on cannibalism, the ultimate wrong, and where it comes from. Now, I have some theories on this too, is, you first establish that, and then culture, the art, the what's beautiful, a lot of morals in people's psyche. They're, once you have the first rule established, and there's very few places on Earth where cannibalism is still done. So you have your, ethics rules, and you say, why should the big people eat the meat at the expense of the smaller people? And it's not fair, and you have this idea of justice. Because the big people can eat, and even though the smaller people are still producing, the big people can just beat the small people up and take their stuff. And that's where injustice comes from. And from there you have ethics. Now, what you have after that is hilarious, because you have ethics in the form of government and religion, and the two different splits it goes off in two different ways is, what we've had to deal with for the rest of history in some form or another, in, either the state or the religion, or both together, or deal with both separately, or you can ignore one but you have to pay to the other, or some kind of control based around those two. I can't even think of a society or organization of pure ethics. I mean, even like the newer tribe in Africa that, there was no government. They had like a system of cost benefit that works out for them. And there's like a village chief, but then that's religion, because that guy's going to put a curse on the guy that steals your cattle. So there's no government, but there's this belief in a religion. And I can't think of a society that has neither. And that's like, the funny thing is, like, the state and the religion and how do I say it? They're like, if you're talking about evolution of human institutions, they're like two mutations that, completely unnecessary but survived. I guess at one point they had more of a function than at other times, or maybe they're just people that liked the fact that they could benefit from others and use other people, take advantage of them. So that's kind of my thoughts on first ethics, and just like it has ethics, I think will always have like some kind of biological reasoning behind them, and like, even if it goes as far as to say murder is wrong, well, this is, if this happened to me, I wouldn't like it. You get the golden rule. People, like, generally, it's a pretty easy thing to understand that, okay, so we just say murder is a no-no. And then stealing, well, that's not as bad as murder, but it's still your well-being and it's still your peace of mind. So ethics is kind of like just built up and up and up, and we've got, that's kind of how they came to be. And you have the church and the state are just like afterthoughts or mutations. Countries, tribes, my people, your people, it's an interesting thing to think about. Leave a comment. Also, leave a comment if there's something that you'd like to hear me speak of, or my thoughts on, and I haven't spoken to, and I want to know what you guys think, and maybe I guess I'm kind of like looking for some inspiration here. So, yeah, talk to me, guys.